Ladies and gentlemen, life isn't always smooth. Sometimes it tests us in ways we never imagined, but in these very trials lie the seeds of our greatest strength and resilience. It's not the easy moments that define us, but how we rise when everything around us seems to fall. Let me share with you 5 powerful reminders that help us discover strength and resilience in the midst of our toughest challenges. Number 1. Trials reveal who we truly are. When life is going well, when the skies are clear, the path is smooth, and everything seems to be in our control, we often feel confident, composed, and in charge. But these moments, as comforting as they are, rarely show us the depth of who we truly are. It's when life throws us into chaos, when everything we counted on begins to fall apart, that our true character rises to the surface. Trials have a unique way of peeling back the layers, exposing what lies beneath the surface. They challenge the version of ourselves we've carefully curated and confront us with the raw truth of who we really are. In times of ease, we may think we know ourselves, but ease doesn't test our limits. It doesn't push us to the edge of exhaustion or force us to choose between giving up and digging deep. Real growth, real strength, and real self-awareness are often born out of discomfort. Trials act as a mirror, not showing the version of ourselves we wish to be, but the version we are in the moment, the one that cries, breaks down, doubts, yet somehow still stands back up. That person, revealed in struggle, is far more powerful than the one we portray when everything's going our way. Think about the people you admire, not just for their success, but for their courage. Most of them have walked through fire. They've experienced loss, rejection, failure, heartbreak, and through it all, they discovered parts of themselves they didn't know existed. They weren't fearless, but they learned how to face fear. They weren't unbreakable, but they refused to stay broken. Their strength didn't come from being untouched by pain, it came from surviving it, and this same truth applies to all of us. When trials hit, we often feel disoriented, confused, even betrayed by life. We might ask, why is this happening to me? Or feel like the world is unfair, and those feelings are valid. But within those moments lies a deeper opportunity to ask ourselves, who am I, really, when everything is stripped away? When there's no applause, no reassurance, no guarantees, what values guide me? What choices do I make? Do I run from the fire, or do I find a way through it? Some of the most defining moments in life come not from achieving something, but from enduring something. The heartbreak that made us realize our capacity to love, the failure that taught us humility, the disappointment that made us more patient, these moments shape us, not because they're pleasant, but because they're real. And they force us to confront truths we might otherwise avoid. In struggle, we begin to recognize not only our strength, but also our weaknesses. Trials expose our fears, our insecurities, and our doubts. But that's not a bad thing. It's an invitation to work on ourselves, to understand where we need to grow and what truly matters to us. Without trials, we might keep moving through life, never realizing how much of our identity is based on external things: our status, our comfort, our routines. But when those are taken away, what remains? That answer is your core. That's who you really are. And here's the beauty of it. When you face trials and endure them, you don't just survive, you transform. You become someone who knows how to bend but not break. Someone who understands pain but chooses not to pass it on. Someone who sees darkness but still moves toward the light. You become grounded, wiser, more compassionate. And this version of you can't be faked. It's real. It's earned. Many people spend their lives trying to avoid discomfort, thinking that strength means being untouched by struggle. But it's the opposite. True strength comes from walking through the fire and refusing to let it burn away your hope. It comes from facing the storm and deciding, I may be shaken, but I won't be destroyed. Every time life knocks you down and you choose to get back up, you redefine what's possible within you. So when you find yourself in a trial, try to pause, just for a moment, and recognize what's happening. Yes, you're being challenged. Yes, it hurts, but you're also being revealed. You're being introduced to the parts of you that don't show up when things are easy. Your resilience, your courage, your grit. These qualities don't just appear out of nowhere. They're awakened through adversity. Don't be afraid of what you discover in difficult times, even if it's messy, even if it's vulnerable, even if you don't have it all figured out. That's okay. What matters is that you're still standing, still trying, still moving forward, and every trial you survive adds another layer to your strength, another chapter to your story. In the end, trials don't define you by how much they hurt, but by how much they reveal. They show you who you were, who you are, and who you have the potential to become, and that revelation, that deep understanding of self is one of the most powerful gifts you'll ever receive. Number 2. Pain can be a powerful teacher. Pain is one of the most universal human experiences. No matter who we are, where we come from, or what path we walk, pain finds its way into our lives. It comes in many forms: loss, failure, rejection, heartbreak, disappointment, illness. And while most of us instinctively try to avoid it, numb it, or run from it, there's a quiet truth that can't be denied. Pain, though unwanted, can be one of life's most powerful teachers. At first, this may seem difficult to accept. After all, how can something that hurts so deeply be good for us? But when we step back and reflect on the moments that changed us the most, they often weren't the easy ones. Growth rarely comes wrapped in comfort. It's usually born in those raw, broken places. The nights we cried alone, the times we felt we had nothing left, the moments we questioned everything. That's when we learn not just about the world, but about ourselves. Pain has a way of stripping everything down to the essentials, forcing us to see what truly matters and who we really are. It teaches us to listen, not just to others, but to ourselves. When we're in pain, we're often forced to pause, to slow down, to ask ourselves hard questions we've been avoiding. What am I really feeling? What am I holding on to that I need to let go? What do I need to heal from? Pain doesn't offer easy answers, but it leads us to deeper awareness. It shines a light on our wounds, not to punish us, but to show us what still needs care. Sometimes pain shows up to remind us of our limits. It humbles us. We like to think we're in control of everything, that we can handle it all. But pain reminds us we're human, that we need rest, that we need connection, that we're not invincible. It teaches us empathy too. Once we've been hurt, we begin to understand the invisible battles others may be facing. We become slower to judge, quicker to forgive, more willing to extend kindness. In this way, pain softens us. It makes us more human. There's also something incredibly clarifying about pain. When you're hurting, you begin to see people and situations more clearly. You find out who's really there for you and who disappears when things get hard. You realize what truly fulfills you and what was only a distraction. Pain removes the noise and reveals the truth. It forces us to reevaluate where we've been, where we're going, and who we want to become. Perhaps one of the greatest lessons pain teaches is resilience. We don't discover how strong we are when everything is going well. We discover it when things fall apart, and yet we keep moving. We take another step. We get out of bed when we'd rather stay down. We choose to try again, to love again, to hope again. That's strength, and it's forged not in moments of comfort, but in seasons of struggle. Pain can also be a catalyst. Sometimes it pushes us to make changes we've long delayed. A toxic relationship finally ends, and though the grief is real, so is the freedom. A job loss becomes the door to a new, more meaningful path. A moment of deep loneliness leads us back to ourselves, showing us we are enough. Pain doesn't always feel like a gift, but with time and reflection, we often realize it gave us something valuable: clarity, purpose, direction, or even a new beginning. Of course, none of this means pain is easy. It isn't. It breaks us open. It leaves scars, and sometimes it lingers far longer than we want it to. But the point isn't to glorify suffering. It's to recognize that when it comes, we can choose how we respond. We can choose to let it harden us, or we can choose to let it shape us. We can let it close us off, or we can allow it to deepen our compassion. We can let it define us, or we can let it refine us. And one day, often without realizing it, we find ourselves helping someone else through their pain. We say, "I know what that feels like." We offer words we wish someone had said to us. We become a light for someone in the dark. And in that moment, the pain we once thought was meaningless becomes part of something bigger. It becomes part of our strength, our wisdom, our ability to connect and comfort others. Pain changes us, but it doesn't have to ruin us. It can teach us what no book or speech ever could. It teaches us how to survive, how to adapt, how to feel, how to heal, and most of all, how to grow. So the next time pain comes knocking, don't just ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Try asking, "What can this teach me?" Because even in the midst of hurt, there's always something to learn. Number 3. Resilience is built, not born. Resilience is often seen as a trait that some people are simply born with, as if certain individuals were just naturally tougher, stronger, or more emotionally bulletproof than the rest of us. But the truth is far more empowering. Resilience is not a gift handed out at birth. It's something we build moment by moment, experience by experience. It is earned through challenge, developed through discomfort, and strengthened by every hardship we choose to face instead of run from. No one comes into this world knowing how to bounce back from failure, how to stand tall after a fall, or how to keep going when everything feels heavy. Just like we learn to walk, to speak, to read, we also learn how to endure. We learn it the hard way, by living through pain, through setbacks, through moments that shake us to our core. And it's in these exact moments that the foundation of resilience is laid. Think about the first time you faced something you didn't think you could handle. Maybe it was a loss, a betrayal, a deep disappointment. Maybe it was a quiet internal battle that no one else could see. At the time, it probably felt overwhelming. You might have doubted yourself, broken down, wanted to give up. But somehow you didn't. You survived it. Maybe not gracefully, maybe not without scars, but you came through. And in doing so, you proved to yourself that you were stronger than you believed. That's resilience in action. Not perfection, not fearless strength, but persistence. The decision to keep going, even when it hurts, even when it's messy, even when it feels like you're not making any progress at all. Every time you do that, you're building your resilience, reinforcing your inner foundation, and shaping a version of yourself that's more capable than the one before. Resilience doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It doesn't mean you don't cry, break down, or have moments of doubt. It means you allow yourself to feel those things without letting them stop you. It's the quiet strength that whispers, "Try again," when everything in you wants to quit. And it grows stronger every time you listen to that voice. It also grows through reflection. Resilient people aren't just those who endure. They're the ones who learn. They ask, "What can I take from this?" They look for lessons, for patterns, for meaning. They use their pain as fuel, not as a prison, and over time, this mindset becomes a habit. They begin to trust themselves more. They know that no matter what comes their way, they've faced hard things before, and they can do it again. But building resilience isn't just about surviving the big life-changing events. It's also about how we handle the small, everyday challenges. It's in showing up on the days we don't feel like it, in choosing discipline over comfort, in staying true to our values when it would be easier not to. These choices, repeated over time, build mental and emotional muscle. They teach us to be steady in the storm, to hold our ground when life pulls at us from every direction. What's also important to remember is that resilience is not a solo journey. We build it not just through our own strength, but also through connection. Having someone to talk to, someone who reminds you of your worth, someone who holds space for you when you can't hold it yourself. That matters. Resilience doesn't mean doing everything alone. In fact, knowing when to ask for help, when to lean on others, is a sign of real strength. Failure plays a key role in this journey too. No one becomes resilient by always winning. It's the losses that teach us the most. Failure humbles us, sharpens us, and reminds us that we're human. And with each failure, we face a choice. Do we let it define us, or do we let it refine us? Resilient people choose the latter. They use failure as feedback. They fall, but they don't stay down. There will be times in life when everything feels heavy. times when you question whether you're strong enough to carry the weight. But it's often in those very moments that your resilience is being built the most. Because growth doesn't happen in ease, it happens in resistance. Just like a muscle has to be broken down to grow stronger, your spirit is shaped through struggle. And the more you push through, the more you discover what you're capable of. So if you ever look at someone and think they're just naturally strong, remember this: their strength was built through nights of doubt, through tears they never let the world see, through battles they fought quietly. And you are building yours too. Every time you choose to face the challenge instead of avoid it, every time you keep moving when it would be easier to stop, every time you believe in yourself when it feels impossible, you are creating something powerful inside you. Resilience isn't born, it's made, built through effort, shaped by struggle and polished by time. And every experience you survive becomes another brick in the foundation of a life that can withstand the storms. Keep going, you're stronger than you know, and you're still becoming even stronger. Number 4, the power of perspective. Perspective is one of the most powerful tools we have, yet it often goes unnoticed. It doesn't change the facts of our lives, but it completely changes the way we experience them. Two people can go through the exact same event, lose a job, face a setback, encounter rejection, and yet walk away with completely different attitudes. Why? Because of how they chose to see the situation. That's the power of perspective. It isn't about denying reality. It's about choosing how we interpret it, what meaning we assign to it, and how we let it shape us. Life throws challenges at everyone. No one escapes hardship, pain, or uncertainty. But what makes the difference isn't the difficulty itself, it's the lens through which we view it. Some people see a failure as the end, a confirmation of their worst fears about themselves. Others see it as a stepping stone, a necessary part of growth. It's not that one person has more talent or luck than the other, it's that one chose to see beyond the setback. Our thoughts have incredible influence. What we focus on expands. If we choose to focus on what's missing, what's wrong, what's broken, we start to feel defeated. Everything feels heavier. But if we shift even slightly, if we begin to notice what we've learned, what we still have, what's possible from here, we unlock a different kind of energy. We start to feel capable again, hopeful, motivated. That shift doesn't happen outside of us, it happens within. Perspective gives us the power to reframe our story. It allows us to move from victim to survivor, from failure to learner, from broken to rebuilding. It doesn't take away the pain, but it gives us a reason to keep going. When we're stuck in the middle of a difficult situation, it's easy to feel like it's always going to be this way. But perspective reminds us that moments are temporary. Seasons change, pain fades, and even the darkest times can hold meaning, if we're willing to look for it. There's a quiet strength in those who can see beauty in brokenness, who can find light even in the shadows. They're not naive, they've just learned that pain doesn't get the final word. They've trained themselves to ask better questions, not why me, but what is this trying to teach me, or how can I grow from this? Those questions don't offer instant relief, but they open the door to healing and transformation. One of the most powerful things we can do during a trial is zoom out. When we're in pain, our view tends to narrow. We fixate on the problem in front of us. It feels like the only thing that exists. But if we step back, mentally, emotionally, we begin to see the bigger picture. Maybe this heartbreak is making room for something healthier. Maybe this failure is redirecting us to a path we never considered. Maybe this delay is building strength we're going to need later. Zooming out doesn't change what happened, but it helps us understand that this moment is part of a much larger story. Perspective also teaches us gratitude, not the kind that pretends everything is okay when it's not, but the kind that looks for the good even in the midst of difficulty. When we train ourselves to look for blessings in disguise, we begin to realize how much we've overlooked. The small victories, the people who stayed, the strength we didn't know we had. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it gives us something solid to hold on to when everything else feels uncertain. Changing our perspective is a skill. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes awareness, practice, and sometimes deep inner work. It means catching ourselves when we spiral into negativity and choosing to look for a different angle. It means rewriting the story we're telling ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, and what our future holds. The mind is powerful, but we don't have to be ruled by our first thoughts. We can challenge them, replace them, reframe them. This mindset doesn't mean ignoring real problems or pretending everything is fine. It means facing reality while still choosing empowerment over defeat. It means saying, yes, this is hard, but I'm not helpless. It means finding meaning in the mess. And most importantly, it means taking back control, not of the situation, but of your response to it. There are people who have come through tragedies, heartbreaks, illnesses, and unimaginable pain, and emerged not just alive, but stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. What set them apart wasn't what happened to them, but how they saw it. They let the pain shape them, not shatter them. They made the conscious choice to see purpose in their suffering. That's not easy, but it's powerful, and it's available to every single one of us. Perspective doesn't eliminate the storms of life, but it gives us the clarity to navigate through them. It helps us remember that pain is not permanent, that failure is not fatal, and that we are never as powerless as we feel. The world outside us may not always be in our control, but how we see it, how we interpret our experiences, how we respond to them, that is where our greatest power lies. And when we choose the right perspective, even the most difficult paths can lead to the most beautiful destinations. Number 5. You're not alone in the battle. When life gets hard, one of the most common and painful illusions we face is the feeling that we're completely alone in our struggle. Pain has a way of isolating us, of making us believe that no one else could possibly understand what we're going through. We begin to retreat into ourselves, not because we want to, but because we don't know how to reach out. We might even convince ourselves that we're a burden, that showing weakness will push people away, or that asking for help is a sign of failure. But none of that is true. The reality is this: you are not alone in the battle. Everyone, in their own way and at their own time, faces pain. Everyone knows what it feels like to be overwhelmed, to be lost, to carry a weight that seems too heavy to bear. Even those who look like they have it all together are fighting battles you can't see. Behind smiles, behind strong appearances, behind success, there are stories of struggle, of heartbreak, of moments where they too felt like giving up. We often compare our lowest moments to someone else's highlight reel, forgetting that strength doesn't mean never hurting. It means choosing to keep going despite the hurt. The truth is, we were never meant to carry our burdens alone. Humans are wired for connection. We heal in the presence of others. We grow stronger when we feel seen, heard, and understood. Even a simple conversation, a shared story, or a quiet presence beside us can be enough to remind us that we're not as isolated as we think. Sometimes all it takes is someone saying, "I've been there too," or "You're not alone," for hope to crack through the darkness. There's incredible power in being vulnerable, not just for ourselves, but for those around us. When we open up about what we're going through, we give others permission to do the same. We break the silence that so often surrounds pain, and we create space for honesty, connection, and healing. You never know who needs to hear your story, who's waiting for someone to say, "Me too," so they can finally breathe. Vulnerability may feel like weakness, but in truth, it's one of the strongest things you can offer. And when you allow others to be there for you, you give them a gift too. We all want to help, to support, to be a light for someone else. Letting someone in isn't just good for you. It's good for them. It deepens relationships. It creates trust. It reminds us that we're all in this life together, walking side by side, even if our paths look different. You're not meant to have all the answers, to fix everything alone, or to carry every load by yourself. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say, "I need help." There are people who care, people who will listen, people who may not have the perfect words, but who are willing to sit with you in your pain and not let you go through it alone. Sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's a family member, sometimes it's someone unexpected, a coworker, a teacher, even a stranger who shows unexpected kindness. And sometimes it's a professional, someone trained to walk beside others in their darkest moments. No matter who it is, the important thing is remembering that connection is possible, that support exists, that love is still real, even when life feels anything but. The battle you're facing might feel personal, but it's not unique. That's not to diminish your pain, it's to remind you that others have faced storms too and made it through. And if they did, you can too. You don't need to pretend you're okay. You don't have to hold everything in. You don't have to be strong all the time. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about letting people help you back up when you do. And even when it feels like no one understands, there's always someone willing to try. Sometimes being heard is more important than being fixed. Just knowing that someone is walking with you, even in silence, can make all the difference. You're not alone in the sleepless nights, in the anxious thoughts, in the overwhelming moments. Someone else has stood in a similar place, and they're rooting for you, even if you don't hear it yet. There's a quiet comfort in knowing that we're all more alike than we are different. Beneath the surface, we all long for the same things: love, safety, meaning, peace. And we all face the same fears: rejection, failure, being misunderstood, being forgotten. When we see that truth in others and let them see it in us, something powerful happens. We begin to heal. So if you're in the middle of a battle right now, remember this. You don't have to walk through it alone. Let someone in. Reach out even if your voice shakes. Accept the hand that's reaching toward you. And know that this moment, however heavy it feels, is one you don't have to carry by yourself. You are not alone, and you never have been. So if you're in the middle of a storm right now, hold on. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are more powerful than the pain. Trials don't mean you're losing. They mean you're being shaped into something unshakable. Because true strength isn't found when life is easy. It's discovered, earned. When life is hard, keep going. Your resilience is writing a story that the world needs to hear. God bless you.